There is no more important time in your life than your late teens and 20s. Don't listen to these idiots saying, oh, enjoy your 20s, it's the best time of your life. It's not. If you're smart in your 20s, you can set yourself up for financial success for not only you, but all the people around you forever. But if you skip this video, you're going to see the dark side of messing up your 20s and never ever seeing financial success. You'll always be broke. You'll be working a dead-end job until you die, never being able to retire because you just can't afford it. You'll never reach the goals that you thought you would, or the experiences you thought you'd go see, you'd never be able to afford, and you'll die alone. I mean, the finances probably won't do that. It's more your personality than anything. This video has the ability to change your finances for the rest of your life, so pay attention for 10 minutes. Literally cut out the distractions you got, only for 10 minutes. If there's other tabs, close them. If your phone's near you, dash it across the room. Make this full screen. Just actually pay attention for 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. These are all things I've either experienced or have been taught by mentors who are much smarter than me, so think of this as a collection of advice, and you can take what works for you and leave what doesn't. But even if one of these things works, it'll change your finances forever. Or you can skip this video and watch the dumbass thing you were watching before and probably after this and be broke forever. I'm going to structure this video in three main ways. There's the macro view of your 20s, there's your goals, and the plan to get there. So let's jump into this with the macro view of your 20s. You've got to realize that this is a very, very important time and you don't want to mess it up. You don't realize how much of your thoughts and mind and patterns and thinkings and all of that kind of stuff is actually molded by the outside world and by your parents and friends, people on social media. Even that includes me now. I'm technically influencing you in some way, but this is ideally for the better version of you. I've got really no dog in the fight. I don't actually know you. I just want the best for you, and I'm hoping this video will help you. That's not strictly true. I do actually want you to like the video, so if you could do, if you're not in full screen, like the video. If you are in full screen, forget it. We'll do it later on. You've got to realize, and this is really hard to unlearn, but there's a lot of beliefs that you think that you've actually been told by other people, and you may not actually think them. The way that you clock this and the way I've clocked this is that whenever I find myself saying, oh, I should do something, or I must do something, or I must do X or whatever, typically that's time to reflect and be like, do I actually have to do this, or should I actually do this? Have I just been told that I need to do this? You should go to school, you should get a job, you should get married. Do you actually want to do all of these things? Because from what I've seen, the biggest regrets for most people that I talk to is that they lived a life that they should have done, but not one they actually wanted to do themselves. They were following a path that someone else set out for them or told them that was correct, and they probably died years ago, and they continued working and walking on this path, and it's not really what they wanted to do. They'll get to the end of their life and they'll be like, this is terrible, I wish I'd done my life a whole different way. It's because they were following these shoulds and musts that the world puts on you. A really good quote that hits home is that you question all beliefs except those you truly believe and those you don't even think to question. I'm going to cover the topic of hedonism versus hermit. Think of it like a slider. One side of it is hedonism, and this is going out every night, spending every penny you have, sleeping with as many people as possible, not caring about your future in any way. And then on the other side you have hermit, which is staying at home, saving 90% of your income, going to the gym, not doing much and being boring. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that you're a hedonist, like you've got £2 in your savings account and you live in your overdraft, and 10 being you're a hermit and you never go out but you save 90% of your income and you can't choose 5, where do you sit on this? I'll come back to this later on, but I just want you to pick a number at the moment. You'll naturally feel about where you are, so where do you normally sit on this scale? Also, the chances are on average you're going to live to be 80.9 years old, so you've got to think of your life in terms of a macro view. I'm going to try and illustrate why your 20s are so important. Say you've got 10 grand and you're 21 years old. We're going to say that you put that in the S&P and you leave it until you're 65. You'll actually have $200,000. But say, same everything, but now you're 31. So you've wasted your 20s, you've done it stupidly, you've not been paying attention to this video, and you get to 31 and you've got 10 grand. So we're investing at 31 and we're going to take it out again at 65. So same as we did at 21, we're taking out at 65, we're now doing it for 31. So you've lost 10 years, but you've actually only got 93,000 in that account now. You lost $107,000 by being stupid in your 20s. And if you got to 41 and then decided to do this, oh, I'm going to get my act together, I'm going to put 10 grand into an account and save and invest and get into 65, you'll actually only have $40,000. This is why your 20s are so important and why messing it up will cost you so much further down the line. You can either set yourself up or you can stunt yourself for the rest of your life. Another thing I want to talk about was risk to reward. The risk profile that you have currently is massive. You've got no momentum, you've got no money behind you, you've got no real wealth or anything like that. You are useless. No, I'm joking. But you've got nothing to lose, which makes you very powerful because your risk profile can be very high. You'll have your own risk profile and you can kind of already feel where you'll be on that slider of risk, on very safe to really risky, and you'll kind of feel it already. I'll give you a plan later on for depending on where you're at, what you can invest in and what you can be doing. All of these things I just spoke about will be a factor in how you accomplish your goals and what goals you can actually set. But at the moment, just to wrap up, I want you to know that there are a lot of shoulds and musts that you should probably check out. Again, I'm telling you what to do here, I'm shoulding you, but actually have a look at them. You'll have a natural falling on the hedonism versus hermit scale, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And then also you're going to have your own risk profile that I'd like you to kind of like eyeball and know where you're at roughly. And remember, your 20s can set you up for the rest of your life, and don't listen to people saying like, oh, make the most out of your 20s, find yourself. The reason they say that is because they went way too far on the scale for hedonism and now have to pay for it forever. This moves us on to goals. Goals are what drive us, and it's the most important thing that you'll be setting for yourself. If you don't have a goal, you have nothing to aim for. Every man should have a goal he's working towards, a concrete idea of what he wants his life to look like, or a certain area of his life, or his bank account, or anything like that. A goal, a number, a physical thing. If you've got no direction in life, your life will take you wherever it wants, and this is why people just end up in places instead of actually actively getting somewhere. Let me know the amount of people you meet in your life who accidentally just stumble upon wealth. Apart from DJ Khaled, I'm not counting him. So clearly define what your goals are in your 20s. Are they to live it up, party as much as possible, sleep with as many people as possible? Is it to make a certain amount of money in your bank account? Is it to start a family? What is it? Is it to become DJ Khaled? I want you to think of this in scope of your 20s, but also realize again, you're going to live to be roughly about 80 years old. So think about it in terms of a long picture. If you're partying forever, that's kind of sad. There's nothing sadder than seeing a 40-year-old in the club. That works for a little couple years in your 20s, but if you were to stretch that all the way over your entire life, that's just not the right goal. I may be speaking things over you there. That might be your dream life, and if so, then go for that. But genuinely actually think of something that would fulfill you and try and fulfill you for the most of your life. This is a finance channel, so I'm going to talk strictly about the money and the finance side of things, but this goes for everything really. Also, I imagine whatever goal you have, having a good chunk of change behind you on like to your name is going to help you out. And you can't do anything without money anyway, so pay attention. If your goal is to make a bunch of money, let me help you out. I had the same goal earlier on. This was stupid. First of all, you don't make money. The only people who make money work in a mint. The rest of us earn money. And stealing from Naval Ravikant, who you should steal as many things from the topic of money and happiness, he's a genius. Naval says you earn money by providing services and goods that is wanted or needed by society, or that it didn't know that it needed but want. Basically, you earn money by providing humans with value, and they return that with money. This is where other parts of the video are going to come into play now. Depending on who you are and how much money you want to aim for is going to affect other sliders that you're actually going to be able to use. So things like the hedonism versus hermit. If you're aiming for a $10 million business, you can't be partying that crazy. Jeff Bezos had his head down and was a hermit for many, many years when he was starting Amazon. That's because his goal was so large, he needed to be a hermit for that. If your goal is to have a good job and just have a regular life, you don't have to actually be a hermit that much. It's the same with the risk tolerance. If you want to aim for that billion, you're going to have to take some risk and actually put yourself out there. If you're not aiming for that, you don't have to do it as much. Now, set a goal for the amount of money you actually want to get. So it's either an amount of money you want to be worth or an amount of money coming in every month. Don't just say $10 million. You may find that your dream lifestyle actually only costs you $60,000 to live, and 10 million is just a stupid goal that you're not going to be actually aiming for. Now, 10 million might be your goal, and if so, that's great. Keep that number in your head. Now, what you've got to do is work backwards. This is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. You see, you can't set your goal as, say it's $1 million. You can't set your goal at that. It doesn't make sense to set your goal as the output. You need to have goals, measurable goals that are the input that can get you towards a certain area or certain target. For example, my goal with this channel is not to get 1 million subscribers. That would be a terrible goal. I can't physically go out and do that. Instead, my goal is to make as many funny and ideally helpful videos on finance that I can and provide to you. And the funny thing is, by doing that, I will probably result in getting 1 million subscribers. But can you see the difference there? It's the input that I'm actually working towards, not the million number. And it's the same in loads of different areas of life. It's not getting a six-pack, it's how many days have you eaten in a deficit. Also, if you don't really have a number in mind or you can't really think of anything, I'm speaking this over you now, but I would pick $100,000. And the reason for this is pretty simple. After 100,000, compound interest can start kicking in, and from there, your money can start making you more money. So the plan, how do you actually achieve this now? This is kind of personal to you because your money and your target will be very different to other people in this video. So I'm going to give you some blanket things that work for everyone, and I can say with confidence, best prescription most of you need to take is get a 9-to-5 job if you don't have one already. I know you don't want to be a wagey or but at the moment you have nothing. You're worth nothing to anyone. If you're trying to provide value to society, at the moment you're useless. You have no momentum, you have nothing. Now, getting a 9-to-5 job gives you money under your belt, gives you some skills in the workplace, and that actually makes you a little bit valuable. And I like to say it's like moving while you're moving. You can be looking for other things, and say your goal is to earn 1 million. You're not going to do that through a job. It's going to be too hard, but you can do that through entrepreneurial stuff, and your job will allow you to actually work on that stuff. And throughout the meantime, you'll still be tracking towards your goal. You'll still be getting paid from your job that you can put into savings and put into this joint venture you want to do. It's not glamorous, but it works and it will work for you. You'll get a paycheck and that paycheck can move you closer to your 100 grand mark, or it can move you closer to whatever you want to funnel that money into, again, providing it's actually useful. If you're stuck with the whole job idea, you don't really know what you want to do, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, just get anything. This is your 20s. No one's looking at you and being like, this is your career forever. This is just something for you to make money and get yourself started, get yourself useful. You can change it as many times as you want after. You can job hop, you can do whatever you want. This is purely just to get your foot in the door. I'd recommend starting with some admin roles in companies. This will allow you to kind of figure out the culture of companies, what you need to be doing, and it's pretty simple stuff. Admin work, so you're not going to be taxed really hard. If you've got a little bit more experience or you want to hop into something else, you could do sales executive roles, or you could do something like a buyer role. All of these corporate positions don't actually require a degree. A lot of people think they do, they don't. You can just apply, and if you've got your head screwed on and you've got the right attitude, a lot of people will take you. You might have to try it a couple times, but you will get it. And even if things do take a degree, fuck it, apply for them. You don't know what will happen. What's the worst case they're going to do? Say no? Again, you've got nothing to lose. Who cares? Once you've done that, you'll realize that you'll start earning money and you can keep some of that money. Remember, it's not about how much you earn, it's how much you keep. Also, while you're doing this, keep your expenses as low as humanly possible. Make it a game for yourself to see how low you can keep your expenses. More than likely, you'll be living with parents, so stay like that. I know it's not ideal, no one wants to do it, but it saves you so much money. Eat as cheap as possible. Try and get that expenses so low so you have so much money to put towards this and actually get a head start in life. With this spare money, you can either look into pursuing your goals. So say it's like traveling is your goals more than making money is, or anything like that. Maybe you put your money towards that. Or if your goal is to have a big bank balance and stuff like that, then you would look into investing and look into entrepreneurial routes as well. Also, a pro tip as well, you will never save your way to wealth. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't work like that. You physically can't save your way to wealth. Inflation eats you so bad, you can't do it. You have to be investing if you want to make any significant money. Also, some things I feel like I shouldn't have to say, but in this world I am going to say it just in case. Do not get into debt, whatever you do. Don't get into debt for anything stupid. Don't buy a stupid car. Don't buy clothes on Klarna. Don't do anything like that. Just don't. Avoid it. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. Also, pay yourself first. If you're looking for this 100k figure, let's say, put money towards that before you put money towards anything else. Put money towards that, and then you can pay your bills and you can eat out and do whatever. You live off the rest of it. You pay that bit first. Now, outside of the job, you can pursue whatever you want, whether that be a more entrepreneurial thing and you want to replace your job, you can do that. But it's much easier to do that when you have money coming in. If your goal is to start raising a family and you want a stable job, get the stable job and then you can start pursuing that. But your main aim is to get to that first 100 grand, regardless of whoever you are. If you want to see why that's so important and how you can actually do that, then watch the video I did here on why your first 100 grand is the most important, because this ties in perfectly to what I'm talking about in this video. If you watch that, you'll see why you'll never have to worry about money after that first 100 grand. Especially if you can start right now while you're young, you'll never have to worry about money ever again. It just won't be a thing for you. So watch that video right now.